Sure, you're a lawyer in good standing with the Law Society of Nova Scotia?
I am.
Practicing for over 25 years?
As of last month.
And you're a technology and internet lawyer with the McInnes law firm.
Right.
I also understand you're a prominent speaker on technology and internet issues. So I came across one of your YouTube videos on this law that we're studying now, C22 lawful access, and I'd like to provide the committee a quick transcript of your remarks. If Bill C22, the Lawful Access Act of 2026, became the law, the Government of Canada will be able to secretly order Apple to build in a capability into its infrastructure to allow Canadian law enforcement and national security folks to track every iPhone, every iPad, every Apple Watch, every Apple AirPod, and every AirTag in real time. They'll now be able to require Apple to confirm whether they provide you with any services. Then, law enforcement can go to Justice of the Peace and get an order without actually believing that a crime has been or will be committed, requiring Apple to hand over every device identifier for every device that you use with their services. That's the digital ID for your phone, for your iPad, Apple Watch, AirPod, Apple TV, Apple AirTag. With that information, they can go back to the judge and get an order requiring Apple to give them the moment-by-moment location of all of your devices. Oh, and that secret order also required Apple to keep your location history for a full year, so cops can get that too. So what's the problem, Mr. Fraser?
All of it. All of it. Certainly, the judicial oversight, I have very few concerns with. The threshold is obviously important. But if you take a look at all of these pieces as they go together, so Part 2 can require an electronic service provider, undeniably Apple is an electronic service provider, subject to a secret order to preserve metadata, location information, all that sort of stuff, and even build in new capabilities to their devices. That's under Section 7(2)(a) and B. And then you look at, so once that information exists, you can go to a judge and get an order on reasonable suspicion related to confirmation of service, then reasonable suspicion related to basic subscriber information, then reasonable suspicion in order to get metadata, tracking information, transaction information that they've been required to save. So this is an entire package, or a potential entire package, that we need to look at holistically and in detail.
Without actually believing that a crime has been committed, without swearing an affidavit saying, I believe that a crime has been committed, and therefore, I, Your Honor, get a court order. I'd like to dispose of some of the legal arguments that the Liberals make, and I'd like to get specific, if I may, with Mr. Diab. One of the arguments that is made on Section 8, and that's the arbitrary seizure, because what the government's proposing to do is to seize metadata, all of it, seize all of it, and order that be held for 365 days without knowing or suggesting that any offense has been committed. But there is some jurisprudence on Section 8, arbitrary search and seizure, that suggests that seizure requires a production. And here, we have no production. How do you respond to that?
The seizure is in the holding of it.
Exactly.
It's in the recording.
The seizure is the fact that information is being held. And the fact that it's not held by the cops, but held on behalf of the cops by order of government, is what makes it seizure, because you have government compelling private sector to hold on to the information. On to Professor Geist. It's very nice to see you in your non-Twitter persona. Professor Geist, I have a major concern specifically with the language of who can be bound by these orders. And specifically, it's the electronic service providers that can be compelled by a minister to come up, design a system, backdoor, etc. And so I look at the definition of service provider. It's Part 2, Section 2, the definitions. It's basically anyone that provides electronic services to persons in Canada and does business in Canada. So then I go and I look to see the definition of electronic service, and it means anyone that involves in creation, recording, storage, processing, transmission, reception, or emission of electronic communication. Well, sounds to me like any law firm would be sending emails or receiving emails through its server, any bank would, any doctor's office would, and yet we hear from the Liberal officials that only internet companies are subjected to this, but that's not what this legislation says.
No, that's consistent with the question that was raised earlier. No, it clearly is not what it says.